Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto Uzumaki embraced the demon fox, ANBU Naruto times Anko Mitarashi, Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. On his way to Higarashi's Naruto bumps into Kakashi. How did it go? Naruto shakes his head in exasperation. Tried to falsify accusations against me, then when confronted held a civilian council member hostage. Sakura's mother in fact, and threatened harm to Sakura if she didn't play along. The cursed mark is sealed along with his chakra and his mind. Permanently. I see. Sakura will be devastated. Not to mention our team now needs 2 more members since Danzo pulled Sai from active duty. Naruto chuckles. Sakura's not going to be as choked up as you think. As to your team troubles, I understand Asuma's team is also down a member and Ino has improved as much as Sakura. Guy's team is well with Tenten and Kurenai's team with Hinata. All of them had at least 1 member advance in the last exams. Way more than expected. Seems they impressed in the invasion. Kakashi considers. I take it you had something to do with this. Naruto nods and sheepishly rubs his head. Yeah, well, when I revealed my identity to Kurenai and the others a couple years ago, I went to the hot springs to relax and it was mixed bathing day. They kind of made the mistake of trying to hit me and call me a pervert. I corrected them and gave them some advice which they took to heart. After I left, ANBU Mebuki and Inoichi requested I help their daughters because they weren't sure on how to improve. Have to say I'm impressed with them. Kakashi I smiles. You'd make a good sensei, I think. Naruto shakes his head. Maybe if somebody piques my interest from the academy sometime, but not for some time yet. Anyway, I'm sure Anko is waiting at home and I have something to pick up on the way. Kakashi nods and walks away. Oh, by the way, Sakura asked me something about pin cushions and Anko. Anything I should worry about? Naruto laughs. Tell her to ask Inoichi. Kakashi nods and Naruto leaves. Naruto walks into Higarashi's, surprised to not see Tenten but a rather large, well-muscled man standing by the counter. Oh, you must be Naruto. I'm Arashi Higurashi. I wanted to thank you for what you did for my daughter. Naruto shakes his head. I only offered advice. She did the work. Arashi grins. Maybe, but it was good advice. She looks up to you like a role model, you know. Anyway, down to business. Your rings are ready. They were a fine challenge. So much fun to work on, I tell you. Tenten was right, you have a talent for design. Naruto chuckles sheepishly and takes the box with the rings inside. Thanks, Arashi. Tell Tenten to let me know if she needs help with training. Arashi nods and Naruto heads home to the Namikaze mansion. I'm home. A voice calls out from the back of the house. I'm in the hot spring. Come on out. Naruto grins and heads out. He's about to get undressed when he notices Anko is not alone. Hana, Kurenai and Yugao are in the spring with her all stark. Ahem. Hello ladies. Might I ask what's going on? Hana giggles. We thought you two might like some company. Naruto facepalms. I take it Sum talked to you about the CRA. Anko grins. She did and I said no. I said I have no problem sharing with others though if they want some fun. Naturally word spread fast. Hana bursts out laughing. Kiba was pissed. Mom had to knock him out to stop him from trying something stupid. Kurenai smiles with a glass of wine in her hand. What are you waiting for? Strip and join us. Yugao chuckles. Kurenai loosens up after a couple glasses. Who knew? Kurenai shrugs with a blush. Anko knew, but I don't usually relax this much unless I like the people I'm with. Naruto smiles and does as ordered, causing 3 jaws to drop and tongues to hang. Who am I to deny 4 beautiful ladies? As he enters the water, Anko moves to his side. So, before the fun starts, do you have anything to say? Like what the council wanted or what that box in your hand is? Well, Sasuke finally blew the crap out of his mind. Wanted to fit me up on charges of assault, threat of bodily harm and theft of an Uchiha blade. The blade in question is the one I've had since you met me and is Mito's sealing sword. As to the others, he was out of his gourd since he named the time as 2 weeks ago. Then when I started moving towards him to examine his curse mark, he went nuts and took Mebuki Haruno hostage. Turns out he threatened to hurt Sakura if she didn't help him. It all worked out. His mark and his chakra are permanently sealed, but unfortunately his mind is practically a vegetable now. They're going to use him as a breeding machine essentially. I feel a little bad about that honestly, but when Itachi used Tsukuyomi on him, this was really the best likely outcome. The girls share a look and gather around Naruto, enveloping him in a massive hug. Hey, okay girls. Thanks, but pervert or not, if you keep doing that, I am going to have a nosebleed. They all giggle but sit down around him. Now as to the box. Naruto opens the box and shows them. Every girl's breath hitches. Kurenai looks at Naruto. Where did you get these? They are the most gorgeous rings I have ever seen. The others stare at him, curious as well. In ANBU I had a mission to hunt down a rogue ninja from Kiri who was in the area teaming up with bandits. He had some unique kunai on him. Harder than most metals I had seen, yet light, and they were also uniquely colored. I was at a loss as to what to do with them until I hooked up with Anko and had an idea. I wanted rings that were not only pretty and valuable but unique and could stand up to shinobi life. So, I came up with designs for the rings and took them to Higarashi's. Tenten and her father made the engagement ring and just finished these today. Hey, they said I had a talent for jewelry design. Hana grins. All say. I know the snake represents Anko and obviously the Uzumaki and Namikaze crests are there too, but what's with the dragon? Naruto shares a smile with Anko. I forgot you haven't met my summons yet. Yugao perks up at this. You signed it. When? I was hoping to watch. Naruto rubs his head sheepishly. Sorry Yugao. It was on the way back with Tsunade. That's why my clothes were trashed. I'll let you meet them later. Yugao smiles. Oh well, can't be helped. Anko smirks before running her hand down Naruto's chest. Now weren't we going to have some fun? Naruto smiles before looking around. Hey, where's Hana? He then feels something in his lap and looks down. Oh, never mind. Everybody giggles. Next morning. Hey kid, I hope there are more nights like that in the future. Take it from me, you could live 1,000 years and not have that much fun again, so if it happens, count yourself lucky. Good advice. Thanks, Kurama. The girls all stumble downstairs to find Naruto cooking breakfast. Kurenai is just sitting down at the table with a huge smile. I'm smart, strong, romantic, caring, considerate, a tiger in the sack, talented and a great cook too. This one's the full package, Anko. Being against perverts I want in this harem. Yugao grins as she joins Kurenai. Yo Naruto, I think you her brains out. Who knew all it took to turn Kurenai into a pervert was a little? Hana laughs. I don't think anything last night can be classified as little. Least of all that monster between his legs. Seriously considering the harem thing though, ha ha ha. Anko grins like a maniac. Told ya. You can have him anytime, but any new girl's gotta go through me first. He's mine. Naruto brings in everybody's breakfast and kisses Anko on the cheek. Always Heim. The women in the room get stars in their eyes. Ah. Naruto grins. Well, eat up guys. Hana smiles as she eats. You weren't kidding about his cooking. Yugao giggles. By the way, you guys got any interesting guests lined up for the wedding? Naruto smirks. Besides you guys. Kurenai almost chokes as she laughs. Yes, besides us. Anko shrugs. Most of my friends are right here in Konoha, so anybody else is up to Naruto. Well, mom and dad had some big shot friends and a few big enemies. I was thinking of making a diplomatic gesture by inviting all the Kage, the Fire Daimyo and a few influential friends I met or worked for during my time in ANBU. Hana tilts her head. The Kage and Daimyo I get. Even if the Raikage and Tsuchikage don't come, it could be seen as you burying the hatchet for old wounds. But who are these friends? Naruto smiles. Well, to start with, there is Yukie Fujikaze, otherwise known as Koyuki Kazuhana Daimyo of the Land of Spring. Then there is she and priestess of the land of demons to name a couple. Yugao smiles. I remember them. Both were kind of snobby and whiny until you helped them. Yugao smirks. If I remember right, both wanted you to marry them and father their children. Naruto nods. And I turned them down and we remain friends. Besides, if I did, then I would have had to leave the leaf, and you know how much trouble that would bring. Nobody could afford that. Yugao nods. You know, now that I think of it, most of the people outside the leaf I make friends with end up being nice but weird. Anko smirks. Speaking of weird people, have you heard the old man finally convinced Tsunade to take the hat? Naruto looks surprised. Wow. Here I was thinking fat chance. When is the ceremony? In a couple months. Hana smiles. Niece. Oh, did you hear about the civil war in Kiri? It's over and the new Mizukage is the leader of the rebellion. Mei Terumi. Naruto nods. Heard about that. Kakashi's first C rank with his team was in Wave, where they encountered Zabuza and his apprentice. While they were fighting, their employer betrayed them and Zabuza killed him and looted his mansion, calling a truce with the Leaf team. Apparently, he returned to the rebellion and bankrolled some mercenaries to help overthrow Yagura. Yugao frowns. Shame Yagura went nuts. I'm told he used to be a really nice guy. Naruto shrugs. I asked the Hokage to take Mei up on the offer to help with it since it seemed fishy, but he's dead, so any evidence as to what happened to make him change is gone with him. The reaction to a Jinchuriki body has when they die is violent. Hardly anything survives unless you are a full-blooded Uzumaki. The brain practically melts and the organs liquefy. Almost nothing remains of the seal either. Full-body Biju cleaning service, as Kurama says. Hana frowns. Really? Naruto nods. It's why the Uzumaki were so sought after once Uzu fell. We make perfect Jinchuriki. If Kurama ever escaped or my seal broke, there is even a small chance I might survive it if I got quick medical help. Mom survived it until Kurama drove a claw through her stomach. Kurenai's eyes widen. She did. Naruto nods. Even had enough strength to hold him down with her adamantine sealing chains. Can't blame him though. Even if he wasn't under genjutsu, would you want to be sealed into a screaming baby after nearly a century of captivity? Hana frowns as she thinks of it from that perspective and decides she can't. Hard to argue with that. Yugao smiles. So, what do you two have planned for today? Anko groans. Some scrub newbie decided to play big fish last night and screwed up an interrogation I was working on. Set me back weeks. I gotta go in and start on fixing it before putting the fear of Kami into the runt and teaching him how it's done. Naruto chuckles. Last time that happened, the newbie quit the next day cause he found he didn't have the stomach for it. Hana giggles. Oh yeah, I remember him. He tried to ask me out a week after, and when I told him Anko was my friend, he went into a screaming fit and Inoichi was called in for emergency therapy. Yugao grins. And you, Naruto? He shrugs. Lord Hokage asked me to look over the latest academy recruits to see if any are worth training. I'm not hopeful, but I'll take a look. If any show promise, I'm not against giving advice or subbing when needed, but it's gonna take something special to get my interest in a team. Meantime, if anybody wants to meet my summons, I intend to give a demonstration to the students after lunch as a favor to Iruka. Yugao is quick to reply that she will be there, much to the amusement of the whole table. Kurenai says she will bring her team as well. Hana smiles but shakes her head. Sadly, we had a fair few animal injuries over the past month and I will be busy, but I'm sure I will meet them sooner or later. Anko grins. Yeah, sorry, but work calls. Besides, you promised more letters whenever you are away on missions, so I will see them. Naruto nods and pecks her on the cheek before he takes the dishes and hands them to a clone to wash. As Naruto walked into the academy and stood outside the classroom Iruka was in, he listens and thinks. Wonder what my life would have been like if that night never happened. Ha 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 ha, probably a happy annoying idiot with no knowledge of me or his parents, barely scraping by in his studies before lucking out and learning the shadow clone jutsu from a scroll he happened to steal out of desperation to please his traitor sensei. Naruto chuckles. Either you have a great imagination, or you are tapping alternate realities. Kurama smirks and chuckles. Life in a cage will do that to you. As Naruto is contemplating this, he hears Iruka introduce him. Now class, we have a special guest today. One of our most famous and strongest ANBU captains is coming to observe our class as a temporary aide and later will be giving you all a demonstration. Please welcome our own Red Fox Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto steps through the door and looks at the class with a small smile on his face. Hearing the disbelief in the voice of one particularly loud boy in Kill Me Orange, he shudders in deja vu for some reason. This guy, but he can't be much older than us. Iruka frowns and moves to use his big head jutsu to silence him before Naruto holds up a hand to stop him. So, you think age plays any role on rank or how strong I can be? The boy mumbles and the rest of the class listens attentively. Let me tell you a story. First, know that a ninja is almost never what they appear. Age, size, even what you wear. These things mean nothing. Some might say that your outfit is unfit for a ninja and you are too loud. However, I know for a fact even in that outfit I could prank every member of ANBU and never be noticed until it was too late. In fact, I wore something similar as a child and did exactly that. Never let what you see be what you judge a ninja by. That is your death. Let me tell you, I never entered into the academy. If I did, I might never have graduated for reasons you may find out later. No, instead I entered into ANBU and I rose in ranks until I was a captain. Who here thinks as soon as they graduate, they will be rescuing princesses and fighting glorious battles? Nearly half the class raises their hands excitedly. Naruto nods. The academy does nothing to burst that bubble because it's a running joke. However, I believe being a shinobi is not a joking matter, so I will burst it right now. Once you become genin and if you are accepted by your sensei, you will be doing D-rank missions for up to 6 months or longer. A year if none of your team belongs to a clan. Shorter if you are lucky. D ranks. As in chores. Later, once you become chunin, you might be assigned an escort mission of B rank or higher in which you might rescue or guard a princess. But the battles are rarely glorious. Ninja are highly paid mercenaries for their village. We serve our cage and do as ordered. Nothing more and nothing less. If you are told to kill, you do it. Torture. Do it. Seduce and your target to obtain information. You guessed it, you do them. He shrugs. Though you won't have to worry about those last 2 or 3 until you are at least chunin unless we break out into war. Now we are ninja and not drones, so there will be times when you can and must question orders. That is why higher ranks have higher requirements and the same goes for missions. Naruto eyes the class and finds a satisfying amount of paled faces. Any questions? A red-haired girl in front raises her hand hesitantly. My dad told me ANBU are the best of the best and to enter you have to be high chunin or better. How did you get in? Naruto nods. Good question. That is true for the most part. However, like everything in life, there are exceptions. In my case, I lived a horrible life on the streets as an orphan child and was beaten most birthdays out of fear and hatred. It so happens on the day before I was to enter the academy, they went a little further. He shows them the scars in his chest. A few of the children went green. I was 10 years old at the time. There is good news to this, however. The trauma awakened a bloodline limit in me which forced the Hokage to take me out of sight of the village and into ANBU training for both my own safety and to prevent my skills going to waste. He shows them the Kitsunegan, causing a few gasps. A boy in the back row with pale eyes narrows his eyes. A dujutsu. I don't recognize it. Naruto nods. I would be surprised if you did. There are many bloodlines in the world and many we know nothing about. Of Dujutsu, 3 are quite famous and notably powerful. The Byakugan, the Sharingan and the Rinnegan. Mine is similar to all 3 and yet different. It has aspects of them all and yet has unique powers of its own. The boy is curious now. How do they differ? I've never heard of the Rinnegan either. Naruto nods. The Rinnegan, also known as the Eyes of Samsara. This was the Dujutsu of the man known only as the Sage of 6 Paths. I will leave it to Iruka to teach you of him and the rumored powers of that one since nobody knows them for certain. As for the others, The Byakugan gives 360-degree X-ray vision and allows the user to see a person's chakra network in great detail. The weakness is a small blind spot of which the location and size is different for each user. The Sharingan allows one to copy jutsu as long as the user can see the hand signs and it does not require a bloodline to use. It also allows the user to read, predict and copy the movements of an enemy including expert taijutsu maneuvers. The weakness is even though the user perceives actions in slow motion if they are not fast enough to keep up then it's useless. Also, if active the person has an eidetic or photographic memory so say they see something particularly traumatic like the murder of their family while it is active, they will remember it in excruciating detail. The Sharingan also has an evolved version called Mangekyo which I might go into another day. The boy blinks. This is interesting. Clearly more information than Iruka has been giving them. And your own. The Kitsunegan, a variation on the Rinnegan, allows for gravity manipulation and near-perfect chakra control. I can see chakra like the Byakugan but not the chakra network and don't have the X-ray vision and can only see in front of me. I can copy jutsu but not bloodlines or taijutsu and it doesn't speed up my perception of time. Beyond that I don't know. I still haven't learned everything about it. Though the same can be said of every other dujutsu as well since knowledge is found and lost all the time. Iruka is smiling behind his desk. This is exactly what he was hoping for. Nobody knows more on these subjects than Naruto. And unlike others Naruto would tell it like it is without sugar-coating it. What came next he was not expecting though. Tell me, who here can tell me the 5 basic skill sets of a ninja? A white-haired girl in the front row threw up her hand eager to impress and he chuckled pointing her out. Taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, kenjutsu and bukijutsu. Naruto nods. And for clarification bukijutsu is. She shrugs. To dumb it down the study of weapons. Most commonly kunai and shuriken jutsu though it can be extended to most other weapons like bow staff and a bow and arrow. Naruto claps. Excellent. Now can anybody tell me the lesser known paths? A lazy-looking boy in the middle of the class groans after about a minute of silence. Troublesome. Medical and Fuin are sealing arts. Naruto smirks. Correct but there is one you missed. Mostly it's mislabeled under one of the other classes though. Usually ninjutsu. Anybody? It took a couple minutes before the loudmouthed boy hesitantly raised his hand. Yes. He looks self-consciously around before answering. Summoning. The class laughs and begins calling him Adobe before they all hear clapping from Naruto. Correct. Summoning or Kuchios is a class of its own. Often mistaken for ninjutsu it's actually closer to Fuin. The redhead from earlier asks why that is. Naruto smiles. Good question. While the process of summoning itself has a lot in common with ninjutsu the requirements are actually Fuin. See summon animals don't live in this world most of the time but rather in alternate realms close to this one. The toads for example live in a realm called Mount Myoboku. While you can go to that place in this world it is actually in a pocket dimension, so you won't find toads there unless you are reverse summoned. I will go into details on that another time. The requirements to summon an animal are a contract with that clan, the passing of a test put forth by the boss of said clan, chakra enough to summon exactly who you wish in a blood sacrifice. The redhead is still confused. Which part is Fuin? Naruto grins. The contract. Most of them were created in times long ago through methods we no longer understand. However, a seal master will tell you that the contracts are based on an advanced style of Fuin called space-time jutsu. The only people in the past 100 years who have studied that are the second Hokage and my father the fourth Hokage. The room went silent as he dropped that bomb. Strangely it was the orange-clad boy who spoke first. What nobody remembers Iruka-sensei telling us the fourth Hokage's name was Minato Namikaze. Nobody else saw the reference in his name and the similar face. As the rest of the class is unsure how to react Naruto is chuckling. Now you see why I told you not to judge a ninja without truly understanding. This boy may act dumb and dress and sound loud, but he saw it long before all of you. The Hyuga boy from before frowns. You mentioned a test. What sort? Naruto nods. I like this class, Iruka. Can't say I am impressed enough to take on a team, but they ask good questions. Each clan has their own traditional test just the same as each Junin sensei has one for their team upon graduation. The toads, for example, require you to stay on the head of the boss toad while he hops around all day and then share a drink with him if you succeed. Word of warning though, not only is neither of these things as easy as it seems, but the toads don't show respect to their summoner like some other summons like the slugs. You would be treated like a minion of the boss and like a brother to the lesser toads. The redhead asks him, "What's your summon clan?" Naruto smirks. And now we get to the question I was waiting for. It's time for lunch. After you are done, Iruka will bring you to training field 43 and I will give my demonstration. Dismissed. As the kids file out, Iruka is chuckling. You'd make a great teacher. Naruto shakes his head. If I took your job, most kids wouldn't pass 2 years in this academy. My standards are too high. No, if I find a team I find interesting, I will be glad to be a sensei or a substitute in an emergency, but no. Iruka frowns. I expected the stuff on summoning and dujutsus as they are your expertise more than most, but why didn't the Hokage warn me if your other questions? Because I asked him not to. The standards in the academy are far too low, Iruka. Even for peacetime. I'm just glad I never attended, or it would be worse, and you know why. He nods. The council's meddling. Lord Hokage mentioned that. Naruto pats him on the back on the way out. If it's any consolation, I am impressed with this lot. I expected some puking or a couple fainting spells instead of just pale faces and good questions. After lunch, the class found Naruto seemingly napping beside a boulder in his training field with several Junin and Genin standing around talking. As they approached, he opened his eyes and smiled. In case anybody is wondering, the Junin here are a couple friends who requested to see my summoning along with their teams. Meet Asuma Sarutobi and Team 10. Kurenai Yuahi and Team 8. Kakashi Hatake and the remains of Team 7. Maeda Guy and the old Team 9. And Yugao Azuki, my old partner in ANBU and Konoha's foremost expert in Kenjutsu. If you are lucky, in 2 years you might get one of these people to be your sensei. Impress me enough and I might teach you. And no, I am not claiming to be better than them, just pickier. That got some chuckles from the group. Naruto stands up and dusts off his hands. Now, before we begin, I must tell you that I am the only summoner to have survived the test for this particular summon, so don't get any funny ideas. I also ask you to be respectful. Summons don't answer to anybody and nobody controls them, so if you offend them and you get crushed, burned or eaten, then nobody will be blaming either me or them. Seeing everybody had heard and understood his warning, he nods before stepping back. Since it's tradition for such a demonstration to summon the boss, I suppose I should do so. Naruto bites his thumb, causing it to bleed, and a few of the kids whisper about the blood sacrifice. He then goes through his hand signs slowly so they can see before slamming his hands into the ground and causing a colossal puff of smoke to rise and many eyes to widen at the great white dragon. Ah, Naruto. I take it today as your demonstration of the summoning jutsu. Naruto nods. It is, Lord Whis. I hope I am not disturbing you. Not at all. Now, does anybody have a question for me? The orange-clad boy raises a hand and Naruto smirks. Sensei said each summon clan has a test the boss gives to be allowed to summon. What is yours? The dragons are a battle clan. The test is simple. Survive 5 minutes in battle with me or score a hit hard enough to make me feel it. Seeing the questioning eyes, he smirks. Dragon scales are harder than diamonds, so hurting us is difficult at best. Naruto is the first human to do so. The white-haired girl smiles. Why are you named Whis? My mother did not have much imagination. White is not a common color among dragons, and in an ancient and dead language, Whis translates to white. Everybody chuckles. Yugao pipes up. In my ANBU studies, I read most higher summons clans have a form of senjutsu or sage mode. Do the dragons have such a thing? He shakes his head. The toads, slugs and snakes do, but we dragons have never needed it. We find ourselves close enough to nature to draw strength naturally without actually entering into a sage state. Rather like Naruto here in fact. Yugao nods and answers the question she knows the kids are about to ask. I will explain about senjutsu after we are done here. Happy with that, the redhead asks. What would happen if a person performs the summoning jutsu without having signed a contract? The dragon looks surprised. Wise question, little one. To answer, I will ask you. What animal do you think you have a kinship with? She considers, then smiles. Cats, I think. The dragon nods. Wisdom, quick thinking, proud, and predators. Yes, I think it fits you. To answer, the person would either have nothing happen or would be reverse summoned to the realm of the summon closest in nature to the summoner. I don't recommend that though, as sometimes the summon realm in question can be hazardous to most humans and sometimes you simply are summoned to an inescapable void. The dragons, for example, live on a range of mountain peaks which are cold and so high up that the air is thin. Humans can die quick and easy there if not strong enough or prepared enough. Naruto nods. If anybody is interested, that's how Jiraiya of the Sannin met the toads. The Hyuga boy tilts his head. Are all dragons as big as you? Whis shakes his head. No. Like all summons, we have many of many different sizes and colors and shapes. And not all are battle-oriented like me. Why don't you introduce them to Sora, Naruto? My wife is calling. I enjoyed the visit. Naruto nods as Whis puffs away and then summons Sora. Hi Naruto. Something you need? Naruto nods. Just letting the class meet my summon Sora. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell them what you do? Sora nods. Well, as you heard kids, my name is Sora, which means sky. Yeah, mom didn't have much imagination. Kurenai giggles. I think we see a pattern here. Sora chuckles. There are a few dragons who are creative, but most are battle dragons, so imagination beyond how to kill isn't a big thing. My mom was a battle dragon, but my dad was a Rakan dragon. I'm built for speed myself, so I am used mostly as a high-speed messenger. The orange-clad boy frowns. How fast are you? Sora smirks and puffs his chest out in pride. I could fly from coast to coast in about 2 days and still have energy to spare. Kakashi Eye smiles. My old sensei could manage that with a couple dozen Hiraishin tags, but he'd be puffed by the end. I'm impressed. Naruto notices the looks on the kids' faces. Kakashi here was taught by my father. Hiraishin was one of his 2 signature original jutsu and the one he was most famous for. Hiraishin, or Flying Thunder God, allows a person to move at high speeds between 2 points so fast all you see is a flash. It earned him the name of Yellow Flash of Konoha. It's also the reason Iwa hates us more than any other village. Thanks Sora, you can go now. Sora nods and pats Naruto on the back before puffing away. The redhead asks, why would Iwa hate us for the 4th jutsu? Naruto shakes his head. Not for the jutsu but what he did with it. In the last major battle of the Third Great Ninja War, the 4th used the Hiraishin and Rasengan to wipe out over 1,000 Iwa troops in a matter of minutes. Not all were Chunin or Junin either. Some were not much older than you kids. The Hyuga's eyes widen. Why? Kakashi answers. War is a terrible thing, kid. In war you are forced to do many things that are disgusting even by ninja standards. Remember this. While we see the 4th as a hero for what he did, Iwa sees him as a monster and war criminal. Naruto, if he had not entered ANBU, might not even have been told of his parents simply because if anybody knew, Iwa might have tried to kill him. Naruto nods. How history views our actions is a matter of perspective. Do what must be done. Do not blame or accept blame. That is the cycle of hatred. The white-haired girl frowns. The cycle of hatred. Asuma nods. That's right. Usually this is explained later, but maybe you should know. Iwa hates the 4th for what he did even though he had to do it. Would you hate them if they killed him for it? Yes, you would. Then you would likely try to kill the ones responsible for his death. Then they would retaliate for that. It's a cycle of hatred that never ends. An eye for an eye and we all end up blind. The only cures are to not hate, which is beyond most of not all humans, or to hide secret information, which is why every village has secrets. Like Naruto's parentage before he was an ANBU. Naruto nods. I'll drop by class sometimes and answer some more questions, kids. For now, I think it's time to head home. As the children head home excited for what they learned, only the Junin notice the single tear fall from Naruto as he turns to face the other way. Iruka, Kurenai and Yugao all stand by him as the others give them a moment. Sorry Naruto. Didn't think this would get so personal. He shakes his head. They're a smart class, Iruka. I knew these questions might come, but I wasn't prepared for how soon. It's alright. Just need some time to think. Iruka nods and leaves. Kurenai and Yugao reluctantly give him some space. He almost didn't notice an hour later when a pair of arms wrapped around him. You okay, boy toy? I felt your sadness all the way from T&I. Naruto chuckles. I'm fine, Haim. Just had to deal with some thoughts sooner than expected. ANBU teaches you how to deal with death and grief but not loss. I could learn all their techniques and ask their friends about them, but it isn't the same as knowing them. The strangest thing is I feel no hatred for any of it. I can't blame Kurama or Iwa or Kumo or Kiri for the deaths of either my parents or clan. If I did, I would feel like a hypocrite. Yet it still hurts. Like a phantom limb, but the limb was never there. Anko nods. Like a hole in your heart only family will fill. Naruto nods. But I can't have a family until I destroy the threat to that possibility. But will that create more hatred? Continue the cycle? Anko shrugs. Can't answer that. Hatred is caused when a bond is severed. But some don't have such bonds, so killing them has no effect on it. Problem is you can't know that until after the deed is done. Who is this threat? He sighs and ruffles his hair. Akatsuki. Anko frowns. Why does that sound familiar? He shrugs. Probably popped up in your reports once or twice in info you were to keep an eye out for. Who are they? Dunno. All we know is there are about 9 or so of them. They are all S-class missing nin. They all wear black cloaks with red clouds on them and they want to capture all the tailed beasts by extracting them from their Jinchuriki. Anko's eyes widen. That would kill them. Naruto nods. Do we know any of them? He nods again. A couple. Itachi and Kisame Hoshigaki. Sasori of the Red Sand and Deidara the Mad Bomber. Less than half the members and Itachi is a spy for us, though only a few people are aware of it. Don't know about Kisami's stance on all this. Guy is a bit crazy, but he and Itachi work pretty close and he doesn't seem worried. Itachi, huh? So why did he kill his clan? It wasn't to test himself if he went and infiltrated Akatsuki. Yup. Uchiha were planning a coup. He was going to leave more alive, but somebody else was helping him, and that somebody is high up in Akatsuki, so he couldn't do anything about it. He wanted to leave Sasuke with his mother and a few cousins alive. Naruto shakes his head. If I know what he was thinking using Tsukuyomi on his brother though. Maybe I'll ask him when I get his next report. I need to inform him of his brother's fate anyway. Anko pouts. Just don't do anything reckless. I don't want to lose you now, I'm just starting to be happy again. Naruto smiles and kisses her hand. They spend hours watching the sun set in comfortable silence before retiring for the night. The Hokage got many positive comments from the academy on Naruto's teaching methods, making the students apply themselves much more effectively than before, so as an experiment he assigned Naruto to answer more questions once a week at the academy until the end of the month, with teachers taking notes and other classes sitting in as well. His first one was quite popular. Sensei, are there any Hyuga in ANBU? Naruto nods. Well, there are, but not a lot. See, the Hyuga style and Inuzuka styles are much too recognizable, and those clans are set in their ways for such things that they often look down upon a member using anything but their style. An ANBU does not stand out unless they are strong enough that it doesn't matter. An Inuzuka boy tilts his head. What do you mean by that? I thought you were pretty famous, sensei. Naruto nods. Not at first. When I was put in ANBU, I was listed as a trainee. The deal was 5 years training in the 3 most used ANBU arts: Taijutsu, Ninjutsu and Kenjutsu. If I get them to Chunin level 1, became full ANBU, and if not, I get thrown to the academy. As you can see, I kept my promise and made ANBU. I didn't get a reputation until I was almost an ANBU captain. Kakashi was much the same. ANBU can get famous, but it is preferred they don't because it makes them a target and sometimes makes missions hard. Difficult to assassinate a corrupt politician if his guards know you on sight after all. The solution is to get so good at the job that fame doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they know your face or mask if they never see you coming in the first place and don't know they are dead until long after you are gone. A Yamanaka boy frowns. Do assassinations happen often? Naruto shakes his head. More often than you would think, but only elite Junin and ANBU usually take them. Such missions are usually ranked RS after all. A blue-haired clanless girl frowns. What do you mean by ranked missions? Ah yes, the tradition of not telling such things until later for a laugh. Typically, until a genin gets fed up with D ranks and asks for a mission worthy of a ninja, which prompts a scolding, a lecture on respect, then a boring lecture on the ranks themselves. Well, to answer, you have D ranks, which are basically chores. Anything from painting fences to babysitting or weeding a garden, walking dogs or catching the daimyo's wife's cat. Then you have C ranks, which are also available to genin later on. Usually that's escorts and guard duties or bandit hunts or even deliveries outside the village. It's rare to encounter anything more than thugs or bandits on those. Next you have B ranks. These are why C ranks are only assigned to experienced genin, as C ranks can often turn into this. B ranks are when you must fight enemy or nuke nins up to chunin in rank. B ranks can also mean a more difficult task on a lower rank mission, like say escorts in the Land of Stone, which is high risk. Usually B ranks are assigned to chunin or talented and experienced genin teams. A rank is getting into junin territory. Often low rank assassinations or diplomatic services, such as aiding in the signing of a treaty between two countries, information retrieval or spy missions. Sometimes seduction or capture and interrogation missions. Then you have S rank. Those are usually bounties on high rank missing nins or difficult assassinations, or even other things like destabilizing another nation by secretly pitting them into war against an ally, or the reverse of that by saving one or multiple countries. Usually that's handled by ANBU. We are also the Hokage's personal guard and soldiers. More than any other rank, the ANBU serve only themselves and the Hokage. While that's true of any rank, if somebody other than our superior gives us an order and it is not authorized, then the penalty is death. The Inuzuka boy pouts. Seems to be a lot of death in this job. Naruto nods. Sad but true. The higher you rise, the more you will see. ANBU usually don't stay ANBU for more than a couple years. The redhead from his previous class asks. Why not, sensei? As a ninja you will be doing things that you don't like. Killing, for example. Unless you are a monster, this will have an effect on even the best ninja. Besides that, there are worse things a ninja does than kill, and in ANBU you will do far worse and see even more. It wears on you after a while, and either you get out or you break. There are the rare few who do neither and learn to cope in other ways. The Inuzuka boy grins. Is that why Kakashi-sensei is always reading those little orange smut books? Naruto chuckles and nods. The white-haired girl perks up. I heard you were in ANBU over 4 years after you passed your apprenticeship. How did you cope? Naruto chuckles. I would like to say I just took to the work well, but honestly I was headed to a dark place until the day I fell in love. All the girls in the class had stars in their eyes as he sweat drops. Ah. The Hyuga boy asks. What do you mean a dark place? And how did love help you to cope? Naruto sighs and nods. I was hoping nobody would ask that for at least a couple weeks, but I suppose you should learn sooner or later. So Naruto spent the next 2 hours explaining what he was in about the Biju and how he was treated. He was a little disappointed when a few of the children left the classroom saying they didn't have what it takes to live the life of a ninja, but he was proud of how many remained. Such classes continued every week until the end of the month, when he was called into the Hokage's office. Ah, Naruto, come in, my boy. You wanted to see me, old man. Hiruzen grins, glad to have the old Naruto back. Your lectures have done the academy wonders. As some of the teachers said, blunt and to the point but effective and with a personal touch that seems to captivate the minds of the students and makes them think on what matters. Naruto smiles. I was surprised by some of their questions, but I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy setting them right. Hiruzen nods. Any chance of taking a team? He shakes his head. While they have impressive thinking, I believe it will be a few years of such teaching before the academy produces students to my standard. But they may surprise me. I'll keep an eye open. Hiruzen nods. Good. Now on to other business. Akatsuki has been moving. Naruto's eyes sharpen. Where? Iwa. Both their Jinchuriki have been taken already. Kumo has requested information and aid. Naruto raises an eyebrow. Kumo. Information I get but aid. Hiruzen nods. I thought the same, but the fourth Raikage has a more open mind than his predecessor. More to the point, he requested you, Naruto. Why me? For starters, I and his brother are two of the only ninja to ever fight your parents and survive. For seconds, because you are a Jinchuriki, and third, because your reputation as Red Fox is well known in all lands. Though your identity is still not as well known below certain ranks. Naruto folds his arms and closes his eyes. Okay, I can live with that. But before I go, I need to talk about Itachi. Hiruzen raises an eyebrow. Oh, I intend to contact him with the news of what has happened to Sasuke and request his return to the village. You know what that will require. Hiruzen nods. Yes, a full pardon and possibly a public explanation. What of his partner? This Kisame. I don't know. If he wishes to join, I would say standard probation and interrogation protocols, but beyond that I leave the choice up to Itachi. He knows him better than I do. When do I leave? As soon as possible. Hopefully you can be done and back before Tsunade becomes Hokage and in time for your wedding. Naruto chuckles. I better be, old man. If not, then I won't be facing Anko's rage alone, I promise you that. The old man pales and sweats a little. Ahem, how fast can you get to Kumo? Naruto pouts in thought while tapping his chin. Alone. Maybe a week. 5 days if I push myself and limit my rest. With the dragons, probably 3 days if riding alone. 3 to 4 with another passenger. Hiruzen raises an eyebrow. While I don't like the idea of you going alone, I know there are few you can't handle and I's pride won't allow you to fight alone, so make it quick. Naruto nods and leave the office. Later that night he is sitting in his library when Anko walks in. Don't you ever stop. If you aren't training, you're reading or doing a mission. Naruto puts down the book and smirks. Oh, not true, my Haim. When I am not doing one of those, I am spending time with you. Heck, most of the time I would ditch what I am doing just to do that. Anko rolls her eyes. Maybe, but still you should take a leaf from the Nara's book. Naruto taps his chin. Nara, I think I read that one last week. Isn't that something about how to slack off and dream of clouds? Or was it the one by Shikamaru's mom on how to control your husband and child with just a skillet? Anko laughs. We use that one in T&I. Yoshino is a genius. Naruto puts down his book and frowns. In all seriousness, I can't slow down now, Anko Haim. Everything is coming to a head. Remember what we spoke of? She nods and sits in his lap. Akatsuki or Itachi? He nods. Both. Kumo has sent for aid. Requested me by name. I also got permission from the Hokage to contact Itachi about him and Kisame if he is agreeable coming home. Until our wedding, when I am not on mission, I will have to train harder than ever. I am going to have less time for anybody else, and that scares me. It took my supposed resurrection to gain what friends I have now, and now I have to push them away just to ensure our lives. Anko chuckles. You say that like none of us thought it might happen. You were ANBU, Naruto. And you know what they say about ANBU. He grins. Once ANBU, always ANBU. All of us are brothers and sisters. ANBU stick together. She kisses him. We knew with your life somebody might come after you or us, and so we prepared for the idea that one day one of us would have to walk away for a while to take care of the problem. I trust you will be back as soon as you can. When do you leave? Old man said ASAP, so I am heading to Kumo tomorrow. Temporary ANBU status reinstated. The red fox returns. She laughs. Wow, you gotta do the whole drama thing, huh? He shrugs with a smirk. Most people find it cool. Jiraiya even considered using some of the lines for a non-Ika book he had an idea for. He never published it because it was never finished. She raises an eyebrow. Really? He nods. Tales of a Gutsy Ninja. Apparently, I am named after the main character. She puts her head on his shoulder. Promise me you'll come back safe. Kissing the top of her head, he grins. And soon. Well, guys. The red fox is off to Kumo. That will be next time. Sorry again for the lack of updates. Next time I'll see about updating Shinju's awakening and maybe nice guys finish last. In the meantime, peace. The next morning at the gate, Naruto summons Sora. Handing him a scroll and a picture, he also creates a clone. This is Itachi. He may have a partner with him, in which case be wary. Give him the scroll and tell him to meet my clone at our usual place. Kisame is welcome, but information is secure. Sora nods. Lord Whis says summons for the sage have been called a lot recently. They share our realm, so we keep tabs on them. Somebody has the Rinnegan Naruto. Be careful. Naruto stiffens and growls. Jiraiya has much to answer for. Once you finish this task, go to the Hokage and request the right to call him back to Konoha. If questioned, say one of his old students' lives. Tell him if he does anything stupid, my previous threat stands. Got it, Naruto. Good hunting and clear skies. Sora takes off at sonic speed to the west. If you are about to dispel before meeting Itachi, summon a clone to notify me and leave him a summons to Konoha dated for 2 weeks from today. If I cannot get to him in that time, I will send somebody I trust. The clone salutes and runs off to the meeting place. Once again Naruto summons. This time it's a black dragon about 5 times his size. Ah, Lord Naruto. Whis speaks highly of our summoner. I am Shun. How may I help? A pleasure to meet you, Shun. I need to get to Kumo fast. Also, I appreciate if while I wear this mask you all refer to me as Red Fox. Shun nods. Very well. Kumo, huh? Shouldn't take more than 3 days to get there, but you will likely be tired when we arrive. Naruto climbs on his back and holds on with chakra. It's fine, Shun. A hard life has made me tougher than most, and even if it didn't, ANBU are trained to go days without sleep. I will manage. Shun chuckles. Hold on. Shun takes off fast. Not as fast as Sora, but it is still impressive. The sight of a black dragon leaving Konoha is a sight to the people, leaving many in awe. Anko is meeting her friends on their usual tea shop to talk about his mission when they see it. He'll be fine, Anko, and back before you know it. She smiles. I know, Nai. He promised after all. Yugao chuckles. Good. Then it's a sure thing. Hana her head. Why's that? Yugao smiles. He never breaks a promise, and he has never made one he can't keep. Kurenai smiles. So, what is everybody doing for the next couple weeks? Hana frowns. Still working in the vet. We still can't figure out what's attacking the animals around Konoha or track it down, and Mom has ordered the Inuzuka to keep all their ninkin in at night just to be sure. Anko nods. I'll talk to the Hokage about it. If nothing can be done, then I'll see if Naruto has any ideas when he gets back. Thanks, Anko. Honestly, this is tiring me out. Kurenai grins. As for me, I got a date with Iruka. Anko cackles. Somehow I figured if you didn't stick around with us, then you would end up with Asuma. Dunno why though. Kurenai shrugs. I tried him, but I can't get him to quit smoking and he's too lazy. Yugao shrugs. Not sure myself. Thinking of leaving ANBU now that I hit captain. Maybe I'll start looking into taking on an apprentice for Kenjutsu. Maybe that Tenten girl. Anko raises an eyebrow. That might be a good idea. She's already known as the weapon mistress of Konoha, and Naruto has her interested in ANBU, so some training from an ex-ANBU would help her out. Yugao facepalms. Forgot about that. Tapping her chin in thought. Maybe I should set her up with some of the other Junin as well. Anko nods. Her taijutsu is good, decent in Fuin, and potential in Kenjutsu is there, but she lacks ninjutsu and genjutsu experience. Consequences of having Guy as a sensei. She got unlucky with her opponent in round 2 of the exams and got beat by that wind user because of it. Meanwhile, a certain panda-looking girl is sneezing non-stop. Are you alright, Tenten? It would not do any good to catch something. It would be most unyouthful. She waves off her green-clad teammate. I'm fine, Lee. Probably somebody talking about me. 3 days later, just outside Kumo. Naruto tumbles off Shun. You didn't mention the reason I would be tired as oxygen deprivation. Shun looks sheepish, which is a little strange for a dragon. Sorry. I didn't think it would affect you that much. To compensate for being slower than some of the others, I fly higher, so I'm used to it. Naruto waves it off. I was wondering how to improve my wind element further anyway. Good thing I mastered it to the degree I did, or I would have passed out yesterday. This discussion is the sight a squad of Kumo's Thunder Legion came upon. Thunder Legion being Kumo's version of ANBU. Not sure what to do, they fall back on protocol. Carefully surrounding Naruto, the leader steps forward. Please dismiss your summon and state your name and business in Kumo territory. Naruto's eyes flick to the man before he slowly sits up and rolls his eyes. You can go, Shun. Thanks for the help. Shun nods and puffs away. Naruto stands up slowly, not wishing to provoke the ninja without reason, and rolls his neck. Sorry to drop in so suddenly. I can't tell you my name as that's against ANBU protocol. I can tell you that the Raikage sent for Red Fox to come to Kumo's aid in a personal matter. The man nods. I am aware of the call. Sorry if we seemed hostile, but we were not expecting you for a few days more at best. Naruto nods. My summons are fast. If you don't mind, I will accompany you to your village, but not inside. I am wary of traps right now, even if the request has me curious and eager. The man nods and leads the way to the village, which is not too far away at this point. Naruto whistles in appreciation. Solid, defensive with a military air, and yet feels homey and family friendly. I like it. The Kumo ANBU chuckle. Most people don't see it that way unless you live here, but that is the idea, yeah. As they arrive at the gate, the man tells Naruto to wait while he reports to the Raikage. It doesn't take long for him to come. A tall, stern-looking man built obviously for power and hiding nothing. His robes hang open to reveal his chiseled chest and his arms weighed down by huge weighted shackles. His face shadowed by his cage hat, the man seems frozen in a permanent scowl. Red Fox. At last we meet. I was not expecting you for several more days. A pleasant surprise. Naruto bows in respect. Lord Raikage. It's an honor. You will forgive me taking up ANBU again for this, of course. Until I can understand exactly what all this is about, I prefer to err on caution. Though I know you are aware of my identity at this point. I nods. Understandable. Kumo and Konoha have not been on friendly terms even now. Forgive me for asking, but how did you get here so fast? Are you able to use your father's jutsu? Naruto shakes his head. Working on it, but not yet. No, I used my summons, the dragons. He rubs his neck a little. He warned me the 3-day flight would leave me tired, but he failed to mention that was due to high atmosphere flight. I burst out laughing. Sounds like quite a ride. If you wish, I can have accommodations made for you and we can speak on the reason you are here in the morning. Naruto shakes his head. Again, I would err on the side of caution at this point and not enter the village. I will make do out here for now. Sorry if that is an inconvenience. I waves it off. Gives me an excuse to escape the infernal paperwork. Naruto nods with a chuckle. Pointing to a copse of trees nearby, he informs the Raikage. I noticed a nice clearing just over there. I will make a temporary shelter there for use until our business is done. I nods. I will bring my brother and Yugito in the morning so we may speak. In the meantime, feel free to look around if you wish. I am hoping this mission will foster some trust between our villages. Naruto nods as the Raikage walks away. The next morning, the Raikage, his brother and a slightly disheveled-looking Yugito ni walk into the clearing to something none of them expected. In the corner of the clearing is a clearly steaming pool of water, and in the dead center is a stairway built into the ground with a stone door at the bottom. B-Raps. This fox clearly rocks if he turned this cops into a home instead of living in a box. Yugito and I both whack him over the head and yell in unison. Too early for your stupid rapping B. But he is more stunned at the voice who responds. Never too early for rap. If you were good I might even clap. Instead I must put up with your crap. On your mouth there should be a cap. Maybe you should go take a nap. After the three Kumo ninja pick up their jaws off the ground, I is laughing his ass off and Yugito is rolling on the ground holding her stomach. B is curled up in depression until they all recover. I is the first to do so as he claps Naruto on the back. His rapping might actually be tolerable if he was ever as good at it as you are. Naruto shrugs. He isn't bad. Anka is not for everybody. I find when such things are not received well, a little joking competition clears the air a bit. Sort of like the difference between a haiku and the more common and better received limerick for poetry. B is back on his feet at this point and nodding. Kid's right about that. It's not that my Anka is crap or my rhymes totally not fat, just not everybody likes Anka and really that's that. Naruto nods. A tip for you B. Moderation is best to introduce a new fad. Rhyming everything you say tends to get on the nerves of people and will only work against you. You want them to enjoy it more, then do it a little less. Yugito and I look at B discreetly with a little hope in their eyes as he nods. I see. You're probably right. Besides, I am having trouble with a real block recently, so a break might do that good. Yugito face plants. Lord Rakage, did Red Fox just get B to speak like a normal person after knowing him less than an hour when we've been trying for years? I nods dumbly. She looks at Naruto and grins. Marry me. Naruto laughs. You're attractive but I'm taken, sorry. If you're really interested in me after getting to know me and my girl, then talk to her later. We have a somewhat open relationship. Now come inside. I suspect we have stuff to talk about. B and Yugito follow Naruto inside, where he takes off his mask and sits at a stone table with a pot of tea he just boiled, but his guests are standing by the door stunned. I looks at Naruto. How did you build this in just a day? I have a decent affinity for all 5 main elements, but my Doden and Suiten are weak. I used my futon to dig and shape the place before using Kaden to harden the walls. Specialized seals running with radon are used for electricity and lighting. The bed was a challenge. Using my Doden I made a soft bed of dirt for the base, and luckily the woods here have some nice soft moss I used to make it comfortable. The spring outside is a simple seal you can find in most villages to boil and purify water. I only tweaked it a little for optimum and comfortable temperature. The Rakage nods. I expect such seals would be easy for an Uzumaki. Naruto shakes his head. Until I made captain, I wasn't allowed to learn anything beyond basic sealing every ANBU is required to know. I only recently got my sealing up to journeyman. That's another reason I haven't mastered the Hiraishin yet. B and Yugito are looking at their Rakage for answers. He looks at Naruto for permission, who nods. Killer B, Yugito ni. Meet Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, also known as Red Fox. Retired ANBU captain and Junin of the Leaf. B his head as Naruto takes off the mask. I didn't know the yellow flash had a kid. And Uzumaki. Must be Kushina, the red hot-blooded habanero. Thought they looked cozy together that day. I nods. For those of us out of the loop. Naruto grins. Lord I and Killer B were a killer combo in the last great ninja war. Only 2 people were a match for them in speed and power. My parents. Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. I never knew them myself as they died the day I was born, but Dad spoke highly of you two in his journal. B nods. Am I right in that you hold 9? Naruto smiles. Just as you hold 8 and Miss Ni holds 2. Kurama says he misses Matabi, by the way. Yugito blushes as Matabi is very graphic about what she wants to do with Kurama and what Yugito should do with the hunk known as Naruto. Naruto laughs. I see she hasn't toned down the hormones at all in the past century. Yugito blushes even further. I just wish she wouldn't go into such detail and make it sound so convincing. Naruto shrugs. Well, each Biju is known for a personality quirk. Kurama has rage issues and his pride, Yuki is reasonable if a tad boring at times, and Matabi is a hot cat with a slightly more than healthy appetite and slightly morbid sense of humor at times. B nods. Kurama has been telling you about them. Naruto shakes his head. Just stories and what I need to know. Nothing personal. Said I gotta form my own opinions on them if I ever meet them. I can respect that. But before we continue on this tack, what am I here for? They all sit at the table and enjoy their tea as I explains the situation. About 6 months ago, Jiraiya came to warn all the nations of the Akatsuki. I blew him off thinking nobody could get them in our village, but I was wrong. 2 weeks ago, 2 ninjas got past our security and cornered Yugito in a sewer near the edge of town. She got lucky and made enough noise that we got back up to her in time. Last week she got a mission to help out a small town east of here. It was a trap. Once again, she was lucky to escape. Same too. All we got on them is names and a few small details Yugito managed to pick up during the fights. When I contacted Jiraiya about it, he said to contact Konoha to send you. Said even his spies don't know as much about this particular group as you do. High praise from a Sanin. Naruto nods. I know 4 of the members, 2 of which may change allegiances soon or be eliminated. I know there are at least 9 members, none of which are below S rank. I know they are after the Biju, but I don't know why. If you got names though, I might be able to find some info on them. They would probably have made attempts on me long before now if I hadn't gone into ANBU the way I did. Yugito frowns. Yeah, how did that happen? You seem a little young for it. Naruto frowns. Konoha isn't as fond of Jinchuriki as Kumo is, and because of Kurama they have a particular hatred of me. My birthday has never been good, but the day before I was to enter the academy I was cornered, and they almost succeeded in killing me. Naruto shows them the scars. Even Kurama can't heal everything. He shrugs as he pulls his shirt back down. It worked out in the end. I got good training. The trauma unlocked my bloodline and eventually I made friends and met the love of my life. I chuckles. Ah, the benefits of the Uzumaki luck. Before we are done with this mission, remind me to send B's team to meet you. Karui would be happy to meet one of her clansmen. Naruto raises an eyebrow. I had all but given up hope there were any other Uzumaki left. I would be happy to meet Karui and her team. Now what is the mission? I nods. Observation and protection. Yugito has been lucky to this point, but I want her to be watched until these Akatsuki are dealt with. As I understand, they operate in pairs, and Jiraiya told me each pair is slated for a particular Biju. Get rid of one pair and it's likely going to be a while before they try again. That will buy us time to start hunting them. Naruto nods in understanding. I was planning to start hunting them in the next couple years once I am certain of my skills, but this works for me. Besides 2 less Akatsuki to worry about before my wedding sounds good to me. Naruto smirks. I laughs. Good. Yugito will fill you in on details on the 2 who are targeting her. Naruto nods. I'll compile a report on the members I know of and keep you updated. Starting with Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki. B frowns. Why those 2 first? Because for starters they are slated to catch the 9 tails. Second, because they are particularly dangerous with Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan and Kisami's Samahata. And third, because they are the ones I am hoping to recruit back to Konoha. Itachi especially, as he is a spy for me in the organization. He holds up a hand to stall their questions. I can't go into detail on that, but if everything works out over the next couple months, then all of it will become public knowledge. I nods. We'll leave you to it then. Yugito will stay here with you until these 2 are dealt with. Nothing other than that changes for her, except you are her bodyguard in the shadows. Naruto nods. Before you go, you said her last mission was a trap. Do you know who said it? A shadow masks the Raikage's face. My own counsel. I don't have names yet or proof, or even if it was deliberate or if the member or members were manipulated, but I know somebody there handed her the mission. I will find out though. Naruto nods. Just checking. Let me know if you need any help in that. I nods and he and B leave. Naruto turns to Yugito. Well, I better start preparing you a room. Feel free to use the spring if you like. We can talk later. She nods. Thanks, Naruto. Almost a week went by with B dropping in every couple days. It surprised Naruto how good company the two were. He would at this point consider them friends. Yugito never had quite as good a time in Kumo as B did for many reasons, but her life was infinitely better than Naruto's. But neither wasted any time with pity but rather treated each other with patience and understanding. Just as Yugito was considering the possibility of moving to the Leaf to meet his wife-to-be, her would-be captors came upon their clearing. A man with solid green eyes and no pupil and a face mask who called himself a bounty hunter. This is Kakuzu. An annoying white-haired man with pink eyes and his robe left open to a rather plain-looking body and a religious symbol of some kind. This is Hidan. She had told Naruto of these two, and after some discussion with Kurama he had burst out laughing. Flashback. I'm sorry, something funny. Naruto shakes his head. Has Tabi told you of the demon chain of command? She nods. She has a number of mid to high class demons under her command. Naruto grins. Jashin isn't a god but a low-rent demon. He actually serves Kurama. He is the weakest of the demons under his command, and the only reason he is there is because he learned how to draw power from the beliefs of humans. Hence this Jashinist cult. The fact is, what Hidan is doing is blasphemous to his own religion, and when he finds out, his ties to Jashin will be severed and he will die. Naruto shrugs. As for Kakuzu, I heard about a kinjutsu from Waterfall that was stolen around the time of the Shodai. I would bet that's what makes him the way he is. Kill him enough times and he will go down for good. Either that or obliterate either one of their bodies. Flashback end. Don't you guys learn? This kitty don't play. Now get lost before you piss me off more. Hidan cackles. I can't sacrifice you to my god, but I am going to enjoy causing you to cry out in pain. Kakuzu frowns. Enough, Hidan. Get too careless and you will die. Hidan is about to snap at his partner until he hears an ominous chuckle. I don't think he has to worry about carelessness much, Kakuzu. He should have read the fine print in the contract he signed in blood to his god. Or should I say demon? What he is doing with your group goes against the will of his master's master. He will die regardless, and Jashin won't help him in this fight. Hidan is flipping his lid at this new interloper. And who the do you think you are to know anything of Lord Jashin? Kakuzu is flipping through his bingo book looking for him before his eyes widen. Red Fox. Konoha ANBU. S-rank threat. Bounty F 400 million Ryo. Recommendation. Kiss your ass goodbye. Naruto snorts in laughter behind his mask. Always knew the old man had a sense of humor, but I like that one. Naruto shunsons to Yugito's side and sends up a flare. Backup will be here in minutes, but it won't matter. Twice you failed on this one. Did you really think the Raikage would take any chances on a third time? Hidan grins like a maniac. I can't sacrifice her to my god, but I can kill you. Naruto shakes his head and looks at Kakuzu. Is he always this dense? Kakazu shrugs. Pretty much. So Kyuubi, huh? Naruto nods. Explains why we could never find it after your supposed demise. Hello, immortal in the dark here. Quit ignoring me and tell me what the is going on. Naruto chuckles. Basically, Jashin's not a god asswipe. He's a demon. The weakest under the command of the Nine Tails. The moment you threatened me and by extension him, you voided your contract with him. You're mortal. Congrats. Hidan screws up his face trying to figure out what he means. Wait. Kyuubi. That mean you're his Jinchuriki? I thought he died years ago. Naruto shrugs. The village tried. Most thought they succeeded. I wasn't going to correct them if it meant I was safe. Do I look that dumb to you? Kakuzu snorts in amusement. Doesn't matter. Leader said bring her back or die. We got no choice this time. Naruto turns to Yugito. So, which one you want? She snarls. I want the foul-mouthed cunt with the big mouth. Naruto chuckles. I told you. You gotta talk to Anko first. Everybody face faults. Ha 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 ha, sorry, couldn't resist. Hidan frowns. Hey Kakuzu. Is it weird I'm having trouble hating this guy? I mean, he just took a major insult for me and made a pretty funny joke out of it. Kakuzu frowns. It is weird, yes, but no weirder than usual for you. I get it this time though. Still gotta take them both out though. Hidan nods and goes off to fight Yugito. Naruto is cracking his neck. Is what you said about him true? Naruto nods. Yup. Nobody knows if the effects will be the same in this plane of existence though, so he might retain his immortality, or it might be limited. Either way, I am confident she can hold out until you and I are done. Kakuzu nods. You're not what I expected. Our intel suggested you would be Chunin at best by this point with how your village council acted towards you. Had I not entered ANBU and thought dead, that would likely be the case. Anyway, let's get this going already. I'd like to spend a little more time with my friends before heading to my wedding. You seem confident. But I survived the first Hokage. You won't make it to your wedding. Naruto moves faster than Kakuzu expected and punches him in the gut. Winded, the man steps back. The Shodai had a habit of fooling around. Saying you survived him means nothing if he never took you seriously. Besides, there are like 100 people alive today who can say the same. Your Kinjutsu Earth Grudge Fear isn't that special. Kakuzu's eyes widen. So, you know of it. Benefits of an ANBU education and access to the records of allied villages. The current leader of Waterfall is a good friend. Kakuzu sheds his cloak. Then I should take this seriously. 4 masks detach from Kakuzu's back along with a mountain of black threads, and his body turns a dark brown. Using all 5 hearts at once. The field erupts with earthen spikes while twin waves of water cut off escape to the sides. The lightning, fire and wind masks all throw their elemental jutsu at Naruto, intending to annihilate him. Naruto does nothing to avoid or stop the wave of fire and lightning coming at him, even as Yugito's eyes widen, having just finished off Hidan. Naruto oh. As the elements die down, Kakuzu is panting. Guess he wasn't as tough as the bingo book said. Naruto chuckles in the smoke, causing him to stiffen. Yugito sighs in relief before looking at him in curiosity. Nobody can see anything by 2 red eyes in a cloud of black smoke. Those eyes. They look similar to our leaders. Naruto claps. So Nagato is the leader of Akatsuki, good to know. Thanks. As to my eyes. Did you never wonder how I survived that night? Naruto raises an arm and the smoke around him clears violently as the ground craters beneath him. So many ways to kill you. Tell me, do you know why Earth Grudge Fear is a forbidden jutsu given the obvious benefits? It fundamentally changes the body of the host. As long as I take a new heart every decade or 2, I can live forever and control the elements like they are nothing. The only downside I have noticed is I can't have children. A small price to pay. Naruto shakes his head. Again, you didn't read the fine print. While you can live forever as long as you continue taking hearts, the original affinity and defects of the host body remain. Worse, if it's a heart defect, then the same defect spreads to all your hearts. What are you talking about? I have no heart defect, I checked. Naruto grins. None diagnosed. But as soon as Lady Tsunade returned to the leaf, she went over old records of our allies and she found your file. Seems the doctor who checked you out 60 years ago made a mistake. An easy one, but it's there. You were born with a high risk of cardiac arrest if lightning chakra is fluctuated in just the right way around your body. And all the time we have been talking, I have been pumping out radon into the air around us. You're probably finding it a little hard to breathe right now. Maybe your arm is going numb. A little dizzy. Even if I stop now, I've already done the damage. All 5 of your hearts are shutting down as we speak. Kakuzu spits blood on the ground and falls to his knees. Hey, dead to a stupid birth defect. I feel pathetic. Naruto sits at his side knowing he has already won. Don't feel too bad. I would have won anyway. Besides, it could happen to anybody. There are worse ways to die. Kakuzu chuckles. I like you, kid. You remind me of me without the obsession with money. A gift for you. Track our movements back to our nearby hideout and you will find a scroll there. I've been hunting the 7 swordsmen on the side. Managed to get about half their blades. If you can't use M, the give M away or sell M. Up to you. Yugito sits by Naruto's side. You didn't tell me about a heart condition. Naruto shrugs. I had honestly forgotten until a few minutes ago. It was a 1 in 50 chance it was lethal or would work at all anyway. If it failed, I would have had to resort to some of my more destructive jutsu. Flooding the area with Raiden was also a setup for about a half a dozen other jutsu I could have used. How did you survive that attack? I thought you were dead. Naruto sniggers. Never underestimate an Uzumaki. She snorts. Karui always says that, but seriously I want to know. Naruto shrugs. If this alliance works out, I won't need the secret I suppose, and I have many other aces. Remember what I told you about the night I decided to enter ANBU? She nods. Rusty kitchen knife in a drunkard's hands. Yeah, I mentioned that the trauma awakened a bloodline. I didn't say which one. It's a dujutsu similar to the Rinnegan called Kitsunegan. Naruto takes off his mask and shows her his eyes. Matabi says she wants to hug you. In a way, that's really unusual for her to even point that out whether it is or isn't. Don't know why though. You said similar to the Rinnegan. How so? Naruto chuckles. Aside from the resemblance, it offers a couple powers in common. It also pulls some from other dujutsu and a couple unique ones. In the case of the Rinnegan, perfect chakra control and gravity manipulation. Yugito chuckles. Seems like a cheat to me. But then most bloodlines are. Naruto shrugs. It's been hard to master it. Still don't know half of what it can do. I do know that I abused shadow clones way more than this. Now that jutsu is a cheat. She pouts. How so? Hey, anything the clone sees or learns is transmitted to the original and remaining clones when it pops. As an Uzumaki I can make hundreds, but as Kurama's Jinchuriki and with perfect chakra control I can create an instant army. She blinks a few times as she processes that. Well, shit. That is a major cheat. Naruto shakes his head. True. But as much as I take advantage as any ninja, should I still believe in building myself the hard way? I don't abuse this stuff nearly as much as I could, and I use them less now than when I first started training. Don't want to become reliant, you know. What do you think, B? Yugito starts in surprise as B and his team step out of the trees. I think I respect you now more than ever. Nothing better than hard work to keep you healthy. A shinobi who has it easy gets soft quick, and a soft shinobi no matter how strong is a dead shinobi. Naruto smirks. So, when exactly did you arrive? A blonde woman with tan skin, modified Junin attire, a bust to rival Tsunade and an emotionless face replies. Just when you were talking about gravity manipulation and perfect chakra control. Sorry if it's not cool for us to hear about it. Naruto shrugs. Officially I am only back in ANBU for a temporary stint. A lot of what I said is becoming common knowledge. Even some academy students in Konoha know this much. The shadow clone thing is a bit of a test for Junin though. A redhead with a dark tan narrows her eyes. How so? Well, shadow clones are a fairly common jutsu for Konoha Junin, even if it's a kinjutsu, but it's considered a condition of learning it that nobody informs new users of the major perk that the jutsu comes with. The memory transfers. If you aren't aware of it, then it can take months or years to realize it. As I said, only a few select people could use it in the way I can though. Needs too much chakra to make more than a few clones, and the memory feedback is damaging if abused by somebody without an innate healing factor like me. B smiles. By the way, Mr. 9, this is my team. Samui is the cool busty chick. Karui is the redhead with the short fuse. Who Colin short. And Omoi is the guy who looks like he's shitting himself in paranoia. Kids, this guy's Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Also known as Red Fox. Omoi narrows his eyes. What if he's just here to ingratiate himself before stealing all Kumo's secrets and killing us all? Karui is about to call him a paranoid idiot and beat him up when Naruto holds a hand up to her. I'll answer that one, Karui. Basically, if I was going to do that, I would have taken the multiple offers to enter your village. Second, if I wanted you dead, then you would never see me coming. I specialize in both assassination and sabotage, and I am also a known heavy hitter. I expect in your village only Yugito, B and Lord Rakage would have a chance of even detecting me, let alone beating me. As for ingratiating myself, who called who? Samui smiles slightly. I like him. He's cool. He's also confident and right. You said Uzumaki, right? Naruto nods. My mother was Kushina Uzumaki. I was born blonde, but the event which unlocked my Kitsunegan also changed a few things about me genetically and physically. My mother's genes took over, causing my hair to change. I never knew Uzu, if that's what you are asking. It's before my time, but I went there once to check out if they left anything I could use. Karui looks at him with hope. What did you find? Besides Mito Uzumaki's sealing sword, I got a scroll with some jutsu, another with seals, and a summoning contract. Karui nods. I went once with the Rakage's permission, but the only thing I found was some jutsu in a burned out building and a vault I couldn't open. My guess is blood seal linked to a certain family. Likely the leaders of the clan or something. Naruto nods. I've heard Mito referred to as the Princess of Whirlpool, and my mother was a distant cousin, so it makes sense. Knowing the Uzumaki with seals, it could probably detect exactly who I am related to for all we know. I am still learning seals, like I said, and haven't touched those yet. Never expected to find family here of all places though. In one of the countries that destroyed Uzu. But then Mom's diary said Uzumaki don't bear grudges. Karui nods. The third Rakage found my parents wandering around a few years after the fall and invited them here. He would have taken them if they said no. He admitted as much to me before he died, but they came. Apparently, he was disappointed my mother couldn't have children after me and that I showed no signs of awakening any bloodlines or any talent in Fuin. Hey, based on that sword though, you got good in Kenjutsu. If this alliance between Leaf and Cloud works out, I'll send you a scroll with the Uzu Ryu sword style in it. Wouldn't do if only one of the remaining Uzumaki had such things and he died before passing it on, right? Besides, I took to the standard ANBU styles for Kenjutsu and I don't have the talent for the Uzu Ryu. Karui nods. I'll learn it and teach it to future Uzumaki. Everybody is smiling at a family reunited until Samui seemingly jumps. Is that a hot spring? Naruto nods. Yeah, why? Mind if I use it? The ones in Kumo are crap and it's about the only thing that helps my back problems. Sure. Knock yourself out. Samui all but jumps out of her clothes and runs to the spring and bomb dives. Everybody sweat drops, but Naruto is just blinking in surprise. Does this sort of thing happen often with you guys? Omoi nods. It used to. Until Sensei stopped rapping. I'm convinced he's just holding it back and the worst rap ever is coming, and we will all die of exasperation. Karui hits him over the head. That is your craziest theory yet. Naruto grins and shake his head. Well, that blast destroyed my little home here, so I should get to work fixing it. That way I got a little place here for when I come to visit. Besides, when I'm not using it, I'm sure the Rakage could use it as an outpost or a retreat for ninja who do well. Places like this are great for morale. B grins. Yeah, I can see bro doing that. More likely he would use it as a reward post for ninja who either need an easy job for a bit due to injuries or who've done good. Naruto grins. I might have to point that out to Tsunade when she becomes Hokage. Naruto spent a couple days at his little retreat rebuilding and getting to know his new friends. He even invited the entire group and the Rakage to his wedding in 2 weeks. The Rakage declined as it wasn't his kind of thing, but he gave permission for the group to attend. Yugito donated the bounty for Hidan to him as an early wedding present. Before leaving, Naruto made it clear each and all were welcome in his home in Konoha anytime. Something they appreciated greatly, especially B, who was always looking for places to slack off. Naruto decided to take his time getting back to Konoha and with his dragon Shun took to the skies. A week later, Tsunade and Hiruzen were on the top of the Hokage Tower trying to delay her appointment as long as possible for a certain redhead to get back. Grr, where is that brat? He better not be hurt, or he will be. Hiruzen's sweat drops. Calm down, Tsunade. I am certain he will be here soon. Spotting a large shadow moving quickly across the crowd, Hiruzen smirks. Sooner than you might think, in fact. Tsunade looks at the old man before she senses something approaching at high speed, putting her on guard. In the sky, a certain dragon is worried for his summoner. Are you certain? Naruto sniggers. Every new Hokage to take office should have something flashy for their appointment ceremony. I figure one of her top ninjas dropping from the back of a fast-flying dragon to greet her should do the trick. Shun chuckles. As long as you know if you go splat, I'm not taking the blame. The other dragons are one thing, but I learned long ago not to piss off a woman. Especially a mother figure such as Tsunade. Naruto laughs. Tsunade senses the approaching object but can't see it. The crowd. No below. No. Sky. All of a sudden before her eyes a black dragon dives out of the sky at high speed towards the roof. At the last second, he pulls up and an ANBU in a crimson fox mask jumps off the dragon, landing at her feet. Kneeling is his protocol. Kumo sends its greetings and good wishes, Lady Hokage. Tsunade growls. You're lucky I didn't see you as a threat, Red Fox, or I would have cracked that mask with your face still in it. Naruto chuckles. Though a unique entrance might make the event more memorable. Was I wrong? Hiruzen claps and laughs. Well, I was impressed, and I can't say the crowd didn't enjoy it. Tsunade shakes her head and pinches her nose. I need a drink after this. Rise, Red Fox. I will see you in my office after the ceremony for a report. In the meantime, stick around for the ceremony. Naruto nods and steps back beside the standard ANBU guard silently. Almost silently, since several of the ANBU are sniggering as money changes hands. So, what was the bet this time? How long it would take you to give the new Hokage a headache or piss her off? Naruto sniggers. Come on, guys. That's a sucker bet. 3 ANBU hang their heads in shame and Naruto raises an eyebrow behind his mask as he points to them. Newbies. Dragon nods. Lesson 1, Greenies. Never bet against the fox. The fox's trade is tricks and has the luck of the devil. Naruto laughs. Lesson 2. Don't get into a philosophical debate with a dragon. A dragon is wise but a pompous ass and has no problem letting you know as such. Dragon hangs his head as more money exchanges hands. Naruto sweat drops. How long it will take to open my smart mouth and bring you to depression? Dragon nods. Yup. Later in the Hokage's office. And that's it, Lady Hokage. Lord Raikage proposes an alliance to eliminate remaining Akatsuki members, which he hopes will lead to a treaty later. I have also retrieved something which might lead to a treaty with Kiri. Tsunade raises an eyebrow. How so? Naruto scratches his cheek sheepishly. Actually, credit goes to you for that, Lady Tsunade. Kakuzu's death was so unexpected for him that he gave me the location of a scroll containing 3 of the 7 blades of the mist. His death would have been much more difficult if I hadn't remembered that medical record you dug up on Waterfall Ninja. She taps her chin. Kakuzu, oh right, congenital heart defect. She deadpans. He used Earth Grudge Fear, didn't he? Naruto laughs and nods. And this guy was S rank. How did he survive my grandfather? Naruto shrugs. Very well, Naruto. ANBU status on hold. You may go. Naruto bows. I will have the guest list on your desk for my wedding within 2 days for security to go over. Tsunade nods. Naruto heads out of the office to go get something to eat. Wondering where to go, he thinks back and smiles. There is one place he hasn't been to in years. Ichiraku's. Hey old man. Gimme something greasy. Grr, I told you good for nothing's only one person is allowed to call me that, and he ain't been here in years. Naruto sniggers and a ladle drops behind the counter. It really has been a long time, hasn't it? A beautiful girl is staring at him like she has seen a ghost. Naruto. Naruto smiles softly at his sister figure. Hi Ayame. Sorry for not dropping by the past few years. Suddenly she flies over the counter, tackling him to the ground in a hug. We thought you were dead. Heard rumors out of the academy you were an ANBU, but we didn't believe them. She's crying her eyes out now, beating his chest. Why didn't you at least let us know you were okay? Naruto wipes away the tears. For the same reason I became an ANBU. To protect myself and those few who I care for. If it became known I was alive before I was ready, the attacks would have continued, and it was only a matter of time before you were hurt. A grinning old man walked out of the kitchen chuckling. So, you gonna marry my daughter, or are you two just friends? Naruto chuckles. Much as I love Ayame, she's more like a sister. Besides, haven't you heard? I'm taken. Eep. Ayame blushes as she jumps away from Naruto. Ahem, sorry. So, who's the lucky girl? Anybody we know. Naruto smirks. I though everybody knew Anko Mitarashi. Naruto frowns. Come to think of it, I've been out of ANBU for nearly a year. Why has nobody we know told you of me? I know the Ice Queens all come here on occasion. And I've been teaching at the academy once a week for a month. Old man Tuki frowns. They did, but we were so hurt by news of your death we didn't want to get our hopes up. You have a long story to tell, boy. Naruto nods. Well then, best keep the ramen coming, old man. Tuki smirks. One Naruto special coming up. 1 hour later, and about 40 bowls of ramen. Naruto finished telling them of all that has happened to him that he's allowed to. Tuki whistles. Quite a tale, my boy. I heard of the red fox, of course, but I never would have guessed it was you. Ayame nods. Hey, what's with your hair, Naruto? Didn't you used to be blonde? Naruto nods. The trauma that night not only unlocked my bloodline but changed some features. The hair, obviously. My eyes are also slightly darker, if you noticed. And last but not least. Naruto taps his claws on the counter, causing Ayame to blush. Nobody ever guessed, but she has a thing for scratching during and not being the one to do it. Tuki knows, however, and he is currently sniggering. Ayame, you are drooling. Curb your imagination with the soon-to-be married customer. Ayame wipes her mouth and mutters a quick apology, which Naruto waves off. We all have our thing, Ayame. I've seen a lot weirder than a scratching fetish. If you're really that into me, talk to Anko. She's got a thing for threesomes and foursomes and such. She's also. Ayame is trapped in her imagination, giggling perversely. Oh dear. You've done it now, Naruto. She won't be aware of anything for hours, ha 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 ha. Naruto shrugs. I was being perfectly serious. Since she lost her public sadistic nature, she's become pretty insatiable in the bedroom. But then who am I to complain? Tuki shakes his head. Lucky bastard. Naruto smirks. Hey, I'll have you know my parents were happily married at the time of my birth. That snaps Ayame out of her trance, and Tuki has to double check both Naruto and Ayame. Why, you know who they were? Naruto nods. Since that very night. I figured you might know, but I don't hold it against you not telling me. The old man wasn't as bright as people think when it came to me. ANBU was the best decision he made for me, and he only did it because the alternative was far too dangerous for everybody. Ayame pouts. For the people not in the know. Naruto turns his head and looks at the Hokage monument. Ayame, I'm disappointed. I always thought you of all people were observant. You never noticed the resemblance. She steps outside again and looks at the monument while comparing them to Naruto and promptly faints. There's the reaction I expected. Hey, wait till she hears who my mother was. Tuki chuckles. She was only small at the time, but she and your mother were good friends. I am surprised she never questioned your personality. Naruto nods and pays for the meal. Thanks, old man, for everything. Wedding's next week. You're both invited. Tuki nods and helps his daughter back inside as Naruto leaves. What now? Looking towards the edge of the village, he smiles. Let's see how my students are doing. With a quick body flicker, he arrives at TG-43 to find not only Sakura and Ino but Yugao and Tenten as well. Training the next generation of ANBU, are we, Yugao? You sure you got time for that? Yugao smirks and punches Naruto in the arm. While you were gone on your mission, I left ANBU. Just a regular Junin like you now. Figured it was time to look into some of the next gen to see if any of them were worth the time. Didn't expect 3 to be really interested. Naruto frowns and looks at Ino and Sakura. I knew of Tenten's interest, but Ino and Sakura are news to me. I just gave them advice and a little makeup training to keep them alive. Yugao nods. And they took to it like a fish to water. Like Tenten here, Ino has some potential for Kenjutsu. Like Sakura, she also has potential for medical and genjutsu. She'll make a good all-round ninja. Sakura excels in chakra control. With some time and training, I expect she could figure out Tsunade's super strength. With the right advice, she could make a great taijutsu specialist too. Naruto deadpans. No greener youth, please. Yugao giggles and Tenten facepalms. As for Tenten, she's a natural with leadership, stealth, weapons of all kinds, and she's smart too. She'll make captain in no time, I think. Naruto smiles. I told you that you had potential, Tenten. Made any progress on elemental ninjutsu? Tenten grins. Turns out I have a lightning affinity which works out great for me. I've been working with Kakashi-sensei to refine it and to learn some jutsu. So far, I only have the electromagnetic murder down, though I am working on Gion. Kakashi says he might be tempted to teach me his lightning blade if I make ANBU. Though I also have a minor wind element, I know a couple jutsu for that, but not much. Naruto raises an eyebrow. I'm surprised. Kakashi taught Chidori to Sasuke and has regretted it ever since. I thought it would be a long time before he tried that again. Did he tell you why? Only muttered something about you being a better judge of character. Naruto nods. Well, if he goes through with that, then you should feel honored. He has learned over 1,000 jutsu, but Chidori and Lightning Blade are his only originals. It's a versatile assassination jutsu, and as he would say, it's to be used to defend your comrades and never against a fellow leaf ninja. She nods. Not sure how I feel about learning a jutsu which is only used to kill, but if I make ANBU, I will need every tool I can get. Naruto smiles. Then you are already 2 steps ahead of most recruits. Naruto turns to Ino and Sakura. So, you two, how's the training going so far? Sakura grins. Both Ino and I have doubled our speed since last we saw you. We can also run for a couple hours straight without a break. Longer if we keep the speed down a bit. I learned some medical analysis, just you and the mystic palm along with the hell viewing jutsu. Lady Tsunade said she is considering taking me as an apprentice, but I want to try ANBU first. I figure her techniques are too recognizable for it. Naruto smirks. Smart decision, but keep your options open. Tsunade doesn't praise like that often, I think. And you, Ino? I mastered mind destruction jutsu and a few interrogation techniques. I've also mastered the mystic palm and am working on poisons. Kurenai-sensei was talking about teaching me her tree-binding death genjutsu, and Shizuna's teaching me more about poisons and antidotes. Naruto claps. Excellent. Now if we can get you both some elemental ninjutsu, you will easily be Chunin level. Maybe even low Junin. Am I right in thinking you are taking them for training off in Yugao? She nods. Yeah, it'll be nice to train some competent kunoichi. Anko's even thinking of teaching them seduction. Naruto laughs. We don't want to scare them out of work just yet. Don't get me wrong, she's good at it, but well, Anko is Anko. Yugao laughs. Don't worry, none of this is until after the wedding. Ino developed stars in her eyes. Gasp, did you say wedding? Whose? When? Can I come? I love weddings. Everybody sweat drops. In order. Yes, mine and Anko's, in about a week. I'll think about it, and I figured that from your sudden fangirling. Ino blinks a few times before hanging her head. Sorry. Old habits. Naruto puts a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, Ino. Even for serious kunoichi, everybody has at least one thing which will bring them to that state. For example, watch this. Ino watches as Naruto walks over to Yugao. She can't hear what he says but falls face first on the ground when she sees Yugao's reaction. With Yugao and Naruto. Hey Yugao. Wanna see 3 of the 7 legendary blades of the mist? Yugao begins to hyperventilate and drool before tackling Naruto. Show me and I will have your children right now. Naruto scratches his head and grins. Maybe we should talk to Anko about that. I'll show you later though. Yugao blushes beet red and jumps away. Ahem, sorry about that. Naruto snorts. Nice to know your passion for blades hasn't dulled. Ha 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 ha, I'll see you all later. Have fun, girls. Naruto body flickers home, still laughing as he walks in, not noticing Anko in the sitting room reading something funny. An hour later, Anko is cackling. She really said that? Oh, I'm gonna remember that. She then begins to smirk, causing Naruto to sweat. And what's this I hear about another girl wanting some fun with my man? You should be careful, or you might not leave enough women for all the other guys in the world. Naruto nods sagely. I have considered that. I was also thinking, how on earth would I go about pleasing so many women? I mean, even my stamina has limits. Anko grins wider. And, what did you come up with? Naruto smirks and forms a single hand seal to form 20 shadow clones, who then transform into various attractive and most importantly men. Anko's mind goes into overload before she rockets back from a massive nosebleed, screaming. Oh, yeah, it's a perfect 10. A certain white-haired pervert suddenly sneezes as he walks through the gates of Konoha. Somebody's stealing my bit. Meanwhile, Naruto is laughing his ass off. Jutsu reverse harem. Told M it would work on Anko.